And welcome back to the Footballtribeug channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you've had a wonderful start to the new week. A beautiful Monday. We are back yet again. It's Monday Night Football. It's Liverpool up against Brighton and Hove Albion. That game is already at halftime with the champions in the halftime lead in as far as that opening half did go. So it's been one that has been quite interesting to watch. To say it's been a fair game. Of course, I thought Liverpool were more dominant than the hosts, not in terms of overall possession, but in terms of going forward, in as far as being on the offense or on the attack was concerned for the opening 45 minutes, unless unless anyone wishes to differ with that kind of school of thought. But at least that was my observation, that was my opinion from the opening 45 minutes. So allow me to do a quick test here, so that we can get into the conversation, because there is a lot of news making the rounds, including the transfer window that is sitting up by every move of the hour. News to do with Victor Gyökeres making the rounds. Florian Wirtz, is trending. Milos Kakes trending. Ryan Cheki trending. So many things making the rounds. But I thought it was a very, very beautiful, first half that we did witness with Harvey Elliott, thanks to a corner Bradley assist, putting Liverpool in the lead, while Yassin Ayari, I think, yes, Yassin Ayari scored to restore parity against Liverpool, and that was quite a brilliant goal, by the way, that he did score. But then at the tail end, or at the death of the first half, Dominic Soboslai coming up with a brilliant strike to make it 2-1 just before halftime. I think you get the feeling, beyond it being just a brilliant goal. Of course, for me, I felt like Brighton sort of switched off just a little bit. I think in that moment of anticipation of any time from now, we're going into halftime and that kind of thing, and maybe we'll look to do it all again. For those of you that were with us in the morning for our morning broadcast, our prediction was a 2-all draw. As it stands, the champions are in the lead at 2 halftime. My expectation is that they can bounce back in the second half. Anyways, guys, if you're just joining us, kindly like the broadcast, kindly subscribe to our channel and support us, please. But more importantly, engage us down in the chat room or in the comment section. Leave us a comment, leave us a hi, tell us where you're joining us from, and let's get the conversation going beyond what we just witnessed in the opening half of that game between Brighton and Hove, as well as Liverpool. So kindly help me press that like button on your screen and like this broadcast. But if you're new here, kindly also consider subscribing to the channel and help us continue to grow. But thank you for joining us. But more importantly, let us know where you're joining us from, what country you're in, what team do you support, and that kind of thing. And tell us about your day. But beautiful game. Of course, the home side overall did dominate possession at the rate of 52% as compared to Liverpool's 48%. That's as per live score, estimates or statistics. That's the kind of thing you had. Brighton still, they did have their moments going forward, but Alson Ramsey-Baker was, of course, alive to the situations, because they do have 4 shots on target as compared to Liverpool's 3, but you can see the effectiveness. There's a bit of a disparity there, and that's where Liverpool have been really good all season. They've been more effective going forward. I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I do not want to mispronounce your name. Is it Shiash? Is that how you pronounce it? Shiash? What's up, bro? Thank you for joining us. Where are you joining us from? And how are you doing? How has been your day? So for me, that's the kind of feeling that I did have So, and then off target, of course, Brighton. And well done, my brother. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for joining us from wherever it is that you're joining us from. Kindly let me know what country you're joining us from and what team do you support, if any. And then also consider liking the broadcast as well. But much appreciated. So you had 5 shots of target for Brighton and 2 for Liverpool on the other side. So I thought it was quite a beautiful game. From India, bro. Oh, good to have you here. I mean, I cannot appreciate India enough. Really. You guys have really supported our channel. You've been with us on multiple broadcasts. It's been quite lovely to see. It's been quite lovely to explore. Yesterday we were with James for about an hour and a half or so. He was with us all the way. He's also from India. We did have other members still from India. We did have Robin Vlog, Lenny Mines. Sorry, Leka says hi, bro. Hi, Leka. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Kindly let me know where you're joining us from and how are you doing today. I'm from Kampala, Uganda. Thanks for asking. I'm from Kampala, Uganda. But it's been a beautiful game for those that are for both the neutrals and for those that have teams that they do support. It's been that kind of game. Of course, I do not think that Brighton will feel so much hard done by, because Liverpool could have even done better. They had a very missed opportunity. I think it was with Federico Chiesa chose not to shoot and pass the ball when he was within the 18 yards box. And that opportunity, of course, I think it was Conor Bradley who fired it wide of the mark. Leka says, how are you? I'm good, my brother. How are you doing? How are you doing yourself? Good to have you. Kindly let us know what country you're joining us from. Safa Ali is here. Hi, Safa. Thank you so much for being with us once again. Safa Ali is from Turkey. He's a Fenerbahce fan. He's an Arsenal fan in the UK. He's also a Real Madrid fan in Spain. So he's one of those football enthusiasts that we've had on the channel for the last couple of days with us. So, it's been that kind of game anyway. Beautiful game of football that we did witness. We are watching the champions in Liverpool up against Brighton and Hove Albion. The second half will be getting underway not too far from now. And Liverpool have also been making majority of the news throughout the day. You say, Leka says, I'm from India. Tamil Nadu. I think that's the region. Good to have you, my friend. You know it all now. Yeah. Safa, I don't know it all. You're a usual suspect now. For most of my usual suspects, I simply see the name and I know what teams they support, what country they are from. That's why I keep asking people what country they are from, so that's the one of the quickest measures with which I can try and remember them. Then yesterday James was asking me on how he can help support the channel, maybe through a membership subscription, and I hope that I'll get to answer him, but unfortunately he's not yet here. But that option is not yet available for our channel because our channel is not yet monetized, so we cannot set up a membership a program. So but you can always continue support by watching our content, by following our broadcasts. I guess I'm the only regular viewer. You're not the only one, Safa Ali. You're not the only one. Now, which time are you going to your country? I'm already in my country. I'm in Kampala, Uganda. So that's where I'm coming to you live from, Leka. Safa, we do have Amlen Okoyo is a regular here. We do have somebody called Rob Ashley is a regular here. We do have somebody that calls themselves Sinza, the regular here. We do have somebody called Mariam recently a Liverpool fan. Mariam Omoto has become a regular on the channel, although she's not here at these opportune moments. And then we've had Boss Royal, we've had Daniel Tuton, some of the regulars on the channel. They may not be here at the moment, at this opportune moment, but they are some of the regulars that we do always interact with. So I do appreciate their support. The second half is already underway, but like I say, Liverpool have dominated majority of the news today in their pursuit to sign Milos Kakes from AFC Bournemouth. It is reported that it will cost Liverpool a fee in the region of about 40 to 45 million pounds if they are to sign the Hungarian left back, who is only 21 years of age, from AFC Bournemouth. He joined AFC Bournemouth in July 2023 after leaving AZ Alkmaar. So very brilliant player who started his career at AC Milan. So and then he joined AZ Alkmaar in January 2022. After 1 year and a half, he then moved to to AFC Bournemouth. I can see you guys are responding to each other. That's good. Now, which time are you going to your country? You responded, you told him the time right now in Turkey. Oh, so Safa Ali, we are within the same time zone because it's approximately the same time here. I guess you're not too far away from Africa after all. We are within the same time zone. We are within the same time zone. That's good. That's good. So, anyways, I mean, maybe just for those of you that care to be informed, the starting 11s didn't really differ much from the probable lineups that we had looked at during the morning broadcast. Apart from Brighton bringing in Brighton Gouda, yes, in there. He was not in our probable lineup. Then Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk, of course, has not started the game. They started with Jarrell Quensha. They did start with Ibrahim Konate and Conor Bradley, as well as Kostas Tsimikas, while we had thought Andre Robertson would start this one. Ason Ramses Becker is in goal, Dominic Soboslai and Gravenberch, Cody Gakpo, Harvey Elliott, Mohamed Salah, and Federico Chiesa. Those are the ones starting on the side of Liverpool. While Brighton and Hove Bjorn have Bart Verbruggen, they do have Mats Weife, John Paul Van Hickey, Adam Webster, Pavis Estupinan, Carlos Baleba, Yassine Ayari, as well as Yankuba Menti, Brajan Gouda, Simon Adingra, and Danny Welbeck. How old was Konate? Ibrahim Konate should be around what, 24? I think. Ibrahim Konate should be around 24, 25, if I'm not mistaken. Ibrahim Konate. Yeah, he's 25 years of age. Yeah, that's and Liverpool are also considering signing another centre back. They are in the market for a centre back. We all know they missed out on Dinhausen, and then they are looking at other options as we speak. So do expect some bit of more movement from Liverpool, because they are prioritizing a left back. That's after securing a right back in Jeremy Frimpong. They are prioritizing a left back, a centre back, and a number 10 so far in the market. And then those are their key priorities. Then they'll look at the striker and a holding midfielder. You say Emiliano Martinez would come to Fenerbahce. If he comes, it would be perfect for Fenerbahce. There are transfer rumors. Okay, that's new in our respect, because over the last about 24 to 36 hours, Emiliano Martinez has been linked with the potential move to Barcelona, and then with the potential move to Manchester United. Besides the strong interest from the Saudi Pro Leagues, those are the gigantic teams he's been linked with. Now, if he's also being linked with the potential move to Fenerbahce, I mean, I do not see why not. But we are yet to hear from the players' camp in regards to what his personal preference would be in where he would, end up in terms of playing. But I think for him, the priority could be, I think, staying in Europe as opposed to going to at the Saudi Pro League, unless he does want to make that, a quick cash and set himself up for, post-retirement, which is never too far away for these football players. Before you know it, you're out of your prime, and then you're no longer earning top dollar. So we will wait and see. But chances are looking increasingly more likely that he will be parting ways with Aston Villa at the end of the season. Mariam is here. Safa Ali, you are asking. Mariam is here with us. Mariam Omdo. Good evening to you, Mariam. How are you doing? How has been your day? And we are here trying to, follow up on your game as we also look into the Liverpool news as we get to follow the updates from the game that's between Brighton and Liverpool. So, like I said, Milos Kakes, that's what's been on the lips of every Liverpool fan out there, because we did break the news early on in the morning that Liverpool had started, advancing in talks with AFC Bournemouth. They are yet to make an official bid, but they've had, contact between club and club. But they've also made progress on player side with a proposal of a 5-year contract. The player is really open to joining Liverpool, from what we gather, and from the multiple sources that are, that have been, speaking about the deal all day. So, and then of course, Man City. The reason as why I speak about Man City is because Liverpool are also involved in the conversation. Is that Man City have pulled out of the deal to potentially sign Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen, which leaves Bayern Munich and Liverpool the top teams in that conversation. And the reason as why Manchester City have chosen to pull out is because they deemed the transfer a bit too expensive, that the players' fee sort of has been exaggerated in terms of the asking fee has been exaggerated. And according to the BBC Sport, they are quoting that the whole deal in total would have ended in about 300 million euros, which doesn't seem quite likely. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know, some car alarm went off. So, like I was saying, Manchester City are saying the player is overvalued, or his valuation is over exaggerated, and they are not willing to part with 300 million euros in just one deal, because it was earlier on reported that Bayer Leverkusen would ask for about 150 million euros. Maybe that's even more. Then I think you add in agent fees, maybe other incentives, then the player's contract as a whole, and you end up with very exorbitant fees that Manchester City do not see as feasible at this stage, so they are pulling out. However, it is reported that Bayern Munich are preparing their first official bid. They've already spoken about the player and that kind of thing. Tamal Prince is also here with us. Hello, Tamal Prince. Tamal Prince is from the UK. With his father is from Congo and Haiti, and then the mother is from Jamaica. So she has that combination of history, but she's from the UK and she's an Arsenal fan. Okay. Safa Ali says if Fenerbahce is seeded to join the UEFA Champions League from third qualifying round next year, it will be revealed by one of Nice. That's Nice in France. Is that Union SG, Victoria Pilsen, or Panathinaikos? And then you come back to say if there is no seeding, Club Brugge, Rangers will be Benfica and Feyenoord. Okay, so those are I think Safa Ali is trying to inform us about the potential opponents that Fenerbahce could face in the UEFA Champions League playoffs. Should they be seeded based on those different points? I think that's what he's trying to point us to in regards to what Fenerbahce's route to the group stages possibly could be to the UEFA Champions League. But I think if I'm Fenerbahce and I needed a manager to guide me through such kind of playoff games, I think it would be Jose Mourinho. Not that he wouldn't get knocked out, but I think I would bet on him higher as opposed to maybe any other manager. I think I would give him that chance, that nod of a chance. In as far as the game is, it is still a 2-1. We are into the 56th minute of the game. But again, we will continue with all the transfer news and speculation that has been making headlines all the day. So, Tamal Prince, how are you doing? How has been your day? Kindly drop a like on the broadcast, please. So, like I said, Liverpool's priorities are revolving around those positions. And by the way, they are lining up also for Jarell Hato. That's the Ajax left back as a potential as the potential signing should they fail with their progress on Milos Kakes. That's who they are looking at, and that's a player, and that's a player. Safa Ali, you say continue from Liverpool. Okay, yes, I was saying Liverpool also are also considering assigning Jarell Hato from Ajax. He's also a Dutch left back, only 19 years of age, I think, and he's a player that many English clubs have been following, including Arsenal and Chelsea. They've monitored him for at least a season or two. And Liverpool are saying, should they fail in their pursuit for Milos Kakes, then they may be forced to. Then they may be forced to turn to Jarell Hato, who could be a cheaper option as compared to Milos Kakes, for whose asking price is anywhere between 40 to 45 million pounds, which is quite a significant fee for a 21-year-old Hungarian international. And then, of course, we know Liverpool are into the mix of the Florian Wirtz potential signing. But if it is true that Manchester City have pulled out due to financial reasons, due to how expensive the deal may prove to be at this stage, then I really do not see it being financially feasible for Liverpool to also go and make. So for me, if Man City, arguably the biggest financial power of a club in English football present day, if they pull out of a deal because they think it's too expensive, never mind, forget for a second that the player is being overvalued or his price tag is being highly exaggerated. If they are pulling out claiming that the player is too expensive, then it doesn't leave so many clubs, especially in UK football, to go out and afford the same player, really, unless that's their only option that they are looking to buy. For example, we've all known about Liverpool's interest, as well as that of Arsenal, in Newcastle's Alexander Isak, but I think Arsenal has quickly resigned to themselves to the conclusion that that deal would be too expensive for them to pull off, and also continue to be active in the market and get all the other options that they would want to secure in the market. So that's the kind of information that's going on there in as far as transfers are concerned. So those are some of the names that have been really, really on everybody's lips. As the day went by, of course, Hugo Ekitike did come back in the conversation. Of course, Victor Gyökeres has been making the news. Matthias, who is going to win the UEFA Champions League finals? Mariam Omoto is asking. Isak is not very popular for some reason, even though he's a very good player. Again, it depends. I do not think he's talked about really much, because he's a player that has sort of gone into the league ever since he joined Newcastle, and it's been a progress after progress. And when you look at the tally this season, he scored 23 goals and provided 6 assists so far this season. So it's been quite brilliant. Daniel Bekia forcing Alexon Ramsey-Becker into a brilliant save. So he's been that kind of player. And I think when you say he's a player that maybe doesn't get enough recognition as much as he deserves, that's because he's been in the shadow of Braut Erling Haaland. He's been in the shadow of Mohamed Salah, of course, this season, who is a Premier League top scorer. So for the last 2 seasons, it's been Braut Erling Haaland that has been, topping the headlines in as far as scoring so many goals was concerned, and that kind of thing. And maybe that's why he's sort of not been so much in front in the media as much as we would have appreciated it to be. Mariam, I'm going to answer you in just a bit. Safa Ali come back to say, I think PSG. I think you're talking about in terms of financial power. If there's any club that could afford Florian Wirtz, if the fee is that high, again, even PSG seem to have shifted their strategy. And while Florian Wirtz is, yes, a younger player, very brilliant young player, only 22 years of age, I mean, spending 300 million euros, even if it were just 250 or even just 200 net, it still remains a little too expensive to do. Because of the way they've sort of shifted in the way they are doing business. When you look at some of their most recent signings, ever since they signed Mbappe, Neymar's, they've not gone back to sign 100 million pound players and plus. I think one of the most expensive players they do have in their current squad is João Neves, because he cost them quite a bit when he was coming from Benfica. And then, of course, Kivisha Kvaratskhelia was about 85 billion euros. Then Goncalo Ramos also around the same fee in that region. So it's more like they put a bit of a threshold in terms of the player profiles they are going for. First of all, they are not looking to go for the prime stars. But in any case, if there's any club that will have the potential maybe to go to a club like Newcastle and pay full amount for a player like Alexander Isak, then maybe it would be a team like PSG. And again, I was making an argument earlier on in the day that maybe it is the Saudi Pro League clubs that have the financial muscle to go ahead and afford a player like Florian Wirtz, if that is indeed the asking price of the player in 300 million euros. And that's to say, sign, fees payable to Bayer Leverkusen, then agent fees, and then salary package, everything combined therein, if you have to look at it that way. You come back to say, but Inter is very good. I'm undecided. Yeah, I think you're trying to respond to Mariam Omoto's question in regards to who you think will win the UEFA Champions League. You say you're undecided because Inter Milan are very good. Yeah, Inter Milan are very, very decent team. They're a very good team. Because they are going to be playing their second final in a space of just 3 years. Because in 2023 they were in the finals and they lost to Manchester City by a goal to nil. That goal scored by Rodri. So and yet just 1 year later, 2 years later, they are back into the final and they've looked quite really impressive. Denzel Dumfries, Lautaro Martinez, Marcus Thuram, Nico Barrera in that midfield, Hakani Chanoglu, Yannick Besic in that back three, and then Francesco Acerbi. They've been quite really brilliant. Even Damian Martinez, when he's been called to action, they've been quite brilliant. The goalkeeper in Jan Sommer, quite brilliant. We saw him pull off a man of the match performance in that return leg against Barcelona at the Giuseppe Meazza Stadium, and it was quite brilliant to watch. So they are indeed a very strong team, they're very capable team. And then on the other side, at PSG, you have a team that has sort of gone into the tournament because this is Luis Enrique's second season in charge of PSG. But also, let's not forget that out of the last 6 seasons, PSG had been in 4 of the last 6 UEFA Champions League semi-finals, and they were losing out. They only advanced in 2020 to the finals and lost to Bayern Munich by a goal to nil. So they are also a team that has been knocking on the door from time to time. So they're that kind of team that have been knocking on the door, and now they are into the final. And then when you bring in the sort of history of UEFA Champions League winners at the Allianz Arena, really it may be pointing more to the side of PSG. Then the other thing that you ought to mention that while they've been a growing team, technically, they're a very good team. They are under a very experienced manager in Luis Enrique, who guided Barcelona to a treble back in 2014-2015. That team that had Neymar, Luis Suarez, and Messi. For those of you that do remember, they beat up against Juventus in the finals by 3-1. Alvaro Morata scored for Juventus, while for Barcelona it was Ivan Rakitic, Luis Suarez, and Neymar in stoppage time. So you look at both teams and they could cancel out each other, but I think technically I think PSG are a better team, and that's why my prediction still is that I think PSG could nick it. The difference at the end of the 90 minutes or even after extra time may not be so big, but that's where I think that PSG could make it. Oh, I came back when my battery was dead. Did you ask me anything? I'm not really suffer, Ali. I simply contributing to your answer that you had given to Mariam in regards to the UEFA Champions League finals on who you think would win it. Where you said that you think Inter are a very good team, but you are still undecided. So I was simply adding on to that and contributing more to that to also give my personal verdict that I was delivering to Mariam. So then again, Mariam comes back to say, who is leaving the club? Mariam again is asking in relation to her club, that's Liverpool. In terms of outgoings, we all know about Alexander Trent-Arnold. That one is leaving at the end of his contract. Initially, we had reports that Luis Diaz was among the players that could leave the club, but as per recent reports, the club are willing to extend his contract, to extend his stay at Liverpool. There was so much interest from the Saudi Pro League clubs for the 27-year-old Colombian international, but it's increasingly looking like he will be staying at the club. Then Federico Chiesa could leave the club, maybe on loan to AC Napoli. There's interest from Napoli for Federico Chiesa, and they want to sign him on a season-long loan, maybe with an option to buy, depending on performances and that kind of thing. Then Darwin Núñez is most likely to leave Liverpool at the end of the season. And again, Napoli are also in the market for a striker, and they say they are considering between Jonathan David, that's the Canadian striker who will be leaving Lille at the end of the season when his contract expires. And then, sorry about that. So they are looking at Jonathan David, but they are also looking at Darwin Núñez. They are trying to explore their options on who will be the better fit, because they really want to get a new striker within that Napoli team. And so those are potential outgoings. Then the other player that could potentially leave that you may have to keep your ear more about could be Diego Jota. But we'll wait to see, to hear more what's seeping out of the Liverpool echoes on that. So it is Diego Jota. Then some clubs are interested in some Liverpool players, like I think Nottingham Forest, as well as Leeds, are interested in signing Harvey Elliott from Liverpool. Then Leeds are also interested in signing Kelleher from Liverpool. That's Liverpool's goalkeeper. Remember, Liverpool are getting a new goalkeeper from Valencia. I forget his name. Kindly bear with me as I look up that name. But they signed him, I think, last year, and he stayed there on loan, and he will be joining them at the end of the season. And he did say his goodbyes to the Valencia fans over the weekend. So he will be joining Liverpool, and when he joins in, that's when you get information that Kelleher could be, leaving the club, maybe for better first team football, because he's, by the way, very, very good goalkeeper. The way I look at Kelleher is like Andre Rooney at Real Madrid, two very, very decent goalkeepers that are sort of, being number twos to very brilliant goalkeepers, because, I mean, Kelleher is number two to Alson Ramsey-Becker. Andre Rooney is number two to Thibaut Courtois, and that kind of thing. So it's really to be expected, really. So that's some of the news seeping out of Liverpool as far as potential outgoings go. Anyways, about that Liverpool game, Brighton do have an equalizer through Kaoru Mitoma, so it's 2-2. If it stays that way, it will be a perfect score prediction for us. Kaoru Mitoma is the one that scored that equalizer. It did come just about 2 minutes ago in the 70th minute. So if the scoreline stays that way, then it would have been a perfect score prediction for us. But the way Liverpool are equally probing on the other side, possibly there could be room for more goals to come. Who knows? Because when the two sides met at the Amex Stadium earlier on in the season, at the round of 16 of the Carabao Cup, Liverpool won that fixture by 3-2. Cody Gakpo scored a brace in that particular fixture, as well as Luis Diaz for Liverpool, while Simon Adingra and I think Yankuba Minte scored for Brighton. So anything can still happen with about 18 minutes left to before the 90th minute mark. So that's some of the news. Yes, the Valencia goalkeeper that will be joining Liverpool is Georgi Mamadashvili. Yes, that's the goalkeeper from Valencia that will be joining Liverpool. It's too bad for Liverpool. Too bad that they've considered an equalizer. Okay, yeah, it is too bad. But again, Mariam, really, Liverpool are simply playing for pride to finish off the season. But in any case, they've already won the Premier League title. There's nothing really much they are chasing after. I mean, they're going to get the most money out of because they are the Premier League winner. Brighton still have something to play for because if they do win this game, they go above Brentford. I think in 8th place on the Premier League table. So for them, they do have something to fight for, as opposed to to Liverpool. So really, as I understand that you still want your team to win. I do understand that bit, but really their motivation to win is nothing other than trying to put vanity points on the board and maybe help Mohamed Salah equal, I think, Andy Cole and Alan Shearer's goal contribution in a single season, I think, which is at 47. And remember, he has 46. So that there's that record, and then the record of most assists in a Premier League season, because he has 18 assists to his name so far. That's Mo Salah, and the most assists in a single Premier League season were by Thierry Henry in the season 2002-2003, and then Kevin De Bruyne equaled that record in 2019-2020 when Liverpool were winning the Premier League title. Then Mesut Ozil attempted to meet that record or even break it in 2015-2016 Premier League season, but he finished at 19 assists. And then Frank Lampard, Kevin De Bruyne in 16-17 is one of those players that managed 18 assists. Cesc Fabregas, again, during his time at Chelsea in 14-15, when they were winning the Premier League with Jose Mourinho during his second homecoming, and that kind of thing. So those are some of the records that Mohamed Salah is trying to chase in as far as such fixtures are concerned, and yet Brighton still have something much bigger to play for as compared to Liverpool. And also, it's a final home game for Brighton and Hove Albion. They get to give their fans something good to celebrate before going away next weekend, because their next game will be away from home and that kind of thing. So really, that's the context that I can sort of give you in respect to that particular fixture. Because let me see, Brighton is a final game of the season, is going to be away from home. They will be away to Tottenham Hotspurs. That's for the final game of the season, while Liverpool will be at home against Crystal Palace, and that's when they will be handed their Premier League title officially at Anfield. And we'll wait to see how Alexander Trent-Arnold will be treated in the manner of those celebrations. But then again, tomorrow we do have some Premier League fixtures that will be coming underway. That's between Crystal Palace and Wolverhampton Wanderers, while Manchester City will be up against AFC Bournemouth. Remember, Manchester City are also still trying to finish within the top 5 to earn themselves a slot in next season's UEFA Champions League. I saw Pep Guardiola speaking about in a pre-match press conference to that Bournemouth game, and he said he's sure they'll qualify for the UEFA Champions League. He also mentioned that this season they're not going away trophyless, as many of you want to think, because they did win the Community Shield at the start of the season. So unless you're saying you do not count that, well, for him, he does count it as a title won. So they're not going away trophyless this season. And he was saying they are pretty much the same as Newcastle, who won the Carabao Cup, pretty much the same as Crystal Palace, who won the FA Cup. Never mind that they somehow the referee refused to give Crystal Palace a red card in that game for Dean Henderson's handball or handing of the ball from outside the area and that kind of thing. So, and then Liverpool, who have won the Premier League title, and then we all know that the UEFA Champions League title will either go to France or Italy. So, and then either of Manchester United or Tottenham Hotspurs on Wednesday night will end up winning the UEFA Europa League. That action will be coming from the finals at San Mamés, and we will follow those updates as well. So when the time does come, which is tomorrow but one, so clearly that's the bit of conversation that has revolved around Manchester City beyond them pulling out of the race to sign Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen. For those of you that care to be informed on that. Guys, unless you have any other questions for me, I think that's the gist of today's conversation. In as far as sorry, I can see our internet stumbling a bit. Apologies on that. But unless you have any other questions in regards to, transfers and stuff. But remember, on Sunday, that's when we see after this season is Premier League. That's when we will have the final games. All games will be played at the same time. All games will be played at 6 p.m. In Italy. I think games will be played at 4 p.m. And then we'll have the final games in the Spanish La Liga as well. Then teams will officially break off for the off season. Then those that are going to play in the FIFA Club World Cup, they'll start preparing themselves for that competition, and that kind of thing. So that's what's going to be happening in the coming days. That proceed today's final. Sorry, that proceed this weekend's games. So unless you guys have any other questions, any other comments, any other input, I'm trying to look at some of I do not know why David Beckham is trending. Then maybe the other thing about Manchester City, after pulling out of a potential deal for Florian Wirtz, they are turning their attention to Dani Olmo, who is at Barcelona. So Pep Guardiola may look to his former club for the next number 10, playmaker in Dani Olmo. You say, what is the next step when the best players are going away? I do not think the best entirely. I think Liverpool are looking to recruit new, young, and good players. That's for sure. That's why they're looking for. They've gotten a right back. They're looking for a left back. They're getting a center back. They're looking to get a number 10 and then possibly a striker. But the striker will depend on the movement of Darwin Núñez and that kind of thing. So I think Arne Slot is trying to, change, to tweak things a little bit, to add more firepower to his team, because he does know that while they've been able to win the Premier League this season, they need to compete even much better next season if they are to retain the title. He knows that maybe it will take an extra mile for them in the fighting ring to win the UEFA Champions League, for which they got knocked out at the round of 16 after an impressive run during the league format, because they finished top of that, table of the UEFA Champions League. So really, I think that's what they are trying. They will not lose any player that they do not want to lose. And remember that Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah put pen to paper on 2 New Year contracts, which keeps them at the club, and that's another positive for Liverpool, because having Mo Salah is a huge positive. But of course, next season they will play, bearing in mind that in December, that's shortly before Christmas, he will be leaving the club to come and play, represent Egypt in the Africa Cup of Nations that will be hosted in Morocco, unless he will be injured at the time. But short of that, who will be leaving the club to go and represent, Egypt. So that's there. Teams like Brighton will be losing the likes of Simon Adingra to Ivory Coast. So they'll be returning to represent their clubs, sorry, their countries. Andre Onana will have to return and represent Cameroon and that kind of thing. So expect that bit of disruption, especially if your team has a composition of some African players. Same goes for Safa Ali. I do not know if they have any African players in their Fenerbahce squad who represent countries that did qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations that will be played in December, or which is later this year. So that's something that all clubs ought to bear in mind. Anyway, guys, it's we are 45 minutes into the broadcast. I hope we still have sound, right? Yes, we still have sound. But anyways, maybe briefly about some of let's review some of the transfer speculation. Of course, like I spoke about Victor Gyökeres, that is been dominated by news linking him with a move to Manchester United. Manchester United are really close to completing a deal for signing Matthias Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers. That deal is really close, according to some sources. And then they are also interested in signing Brian Mbeumo from Brentford. That deal could cost them about £54 million to sign the 25-year-old Cameroon international, who has scored 19 goals and provided 7 assists this season alone in the Premier League. So he's had quite a very impressive season, and I get the feeling he's going to be an in-demand player in as far as the transfer window is concerned. And then, of course, other players like Ryan Cherki, it's confirmed he will be leaving Lyon, and we do wait to hear what his destination is going to be. So, yeah, that's what we're waiting to hear, where he will be playing his football next season. But let's wait and see what the window has to offer in as far as player movement is concerned. But like I keep reminding you guys, bear in mind that the transfer window is going to open on the 1st of June for all clubs. That's because they want clubs that are going to be in the FIFA Club World Cup to recruit some players before the tournament kicks off. Because remember, before the tournament kicks off, they need to register those squads. So the window will open on 1st June and then close on the 10th of June. When it closes, it will then be reopened on the 16th of June. And my brother will put our brother to the next level. My brothers will put our brother to the next level. Yes, help me put me on the next level by continuing to support the channel, inviting your friends, to subscribe to the channel, to like what we do, to comment, to share, and that kind of thing, so that we can continue to grow. And then when perhaps we hit the monetization numbers, then we can introduce, maybe some membership options for people to continue supporting the channel. But before that, then guys, I'm really interested. If you know a Manchester United fan that can always, be with us on the broadcast, as much as I understand the rivalry between the fans and all that. But if you do have a Manchester United fan that is as engaged as you are, or as engaging as you are, do not hesitate to invite them to, to our broadcast, so that we can engage them about their team. Of course, they're going to be playing in the UEFA Europa League finals and that kind of thing, and that could have an impact on how they do go into next season. I was following up on a conversation. Somebody asked me a question. Brighton thought they had scored the 3rd goal, but it has been ruled out due to offside. The linesman on the other side raised his flag. So they asked, yes, it was a question on Sky Sport, in fact. The question was, who needs it more? That's the UEFA Europa League title. Who needs it more? Is it Manchester United? Is it Tottenham? And I couldn't share similar sentiments in the context of Ange Postecoglou as a manager. He needs it more because without it, he has no job next season. That's my feeling. That if he doesn't get it, if he doesn't win the UEFA Europa League, he has no job at Tottenham next season. And then for Manchester United, they need it not for Ruben Amorim's job or anything like that, but they need to qualify for the UEFA Champions League because of the monetary resources that come with being in the UEFA Champions League to better their financial situation and sort of have a little bit of more room and flexibility in how they then go to operate in the transfer market and that kind of thing. So they really, really need that. So they really, really need that. And because they need that, just imagine they win the Europa League. That's a piece of silverware, comes with a bit of small winning money, but also they qualify for the UEFA Champions League, which gives them a whole set of new expected finances, which they could then reinvest into signing new players, which takes them back to, the goal stands. The goal stands. The goal stands, and it is 3-2. It's confirmed. VAR has just confirmed the goal, and we're into the 88th minute of the game. So the goal has stood. So Liverpool are down 3-2 against Brighton and Hove Albion. So that's according to the VAR technology here in that respect. So the goal stands. So, anyways, that's the analogy for me, really. That if Manchester United were to win the Europa League, whether you believe that they deserve to be in the UEFA Champions League or not, that's a story for another day. I think that is money. So, guys, who do you think will win the UEFA Europa League? And for you, in your perspective, okay, who do you want to win it, and who would you rather win the UEFA Champions League? Nice 77 says hi. Oh, nice, good to have you back. You've been lost. You haven't been with us in a bit of a while. Manu Harry carried. You're saying, are you saying they are carried by Harry Maguire? That's Manchester United. And nice 77. Are you a Manchester United fan? Are you a nice Manchester United fan? Maguire was so good last minute. Yes, he was so good. He was so good in that game in the quarterfinals against Lyon, in that game at the Old Trafford. But also that goal that he did score against Chelsea that was cancelled out by offside. For offside reasons by VAR. It was quite a brilliant goal, especially given that it wasn't a set piece play. The way he made that run into the box and taps that ball into the back of the net like a prime striker. I've always joked that Harry Maguire plays maybe as a striker during Sunday League football. You say goal. I am a Bayern fan in German. Okay, are you from Germany? Nice. Good to know. And yes. Nice. Kindly tell us if you have any update on Bayern Munich's pursuit of Florian Wirtz. That's if you're following the conversation on Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen potentially to Bayern Munich. How is that going? Kindly, let us know how that is progressing. But it's good to have a Bayern Munich fan here. And I mean, they've had quite a brilliant season. Vincent Kompany guiding them to the Bundesliga title in his debut season in Germany, and then guiding them to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. I know they would have preferred to go higher than that. I think even last season they got knocked out at the quarterfinals. I stand to be corrected, but after knocking out, they reached the semi-finals because they knocked out Arsenal at the quarterfinals. Yes, you should make transfer news like on what's going to Manchester City instead of Bayern Munich. Miss, just to inform you, we've been talking about Florian Wirtz. Manchester City have pulled out of that deal because that's according to latest reports from BBC Sport. They say Manchester City have deemed the transfer too expensive because the quoted fee in total, that's agent fees, the fees to Bayer Leverkusen, maybe salary package, and other things, nitty-gritties involved, it totals to about 300 million euros. Whether that's an exaggeration by its in itself from Manchester City's, sources that have brought that information to life remains to be seen. But they have pulled out of the Florian Wirtz deal at the moment. They are no longer in it. At the moment, they pulled out. It is not to say that they cannot come back later in the summer, but Manchester City have pulled out of a potential deal to sign Florian Wirtz, and they have turned their attention to Dani Olmo as one of the potential players that they can sign. But they are also interested in signing Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest. Yet Nottingham Forest also want to hand Morgan Gibbs-White a new contract there at the club because they are aware of the interest that Manchester City have in the 25-year-old England international. Again, they also want to offer a new contract to Callum Hudson-Odoi, that's for Nottingham Forest. But Manchester City are looking to sign Tian Reinders from AC Milan. He plays in the central midfield as a number 8 predominantly. Very, very good player, 26 years of age, a Dutch international. Then they are interested in Morgan Gibbs-White. They are also considering a potential move for Dani Olmo, who is currently at Barcelona. And if there's any manager that could persuade a player to leave Barcelona and join him, possibly it is Pep Guardiola. And whether Barcelona will be willing to let him go remains to be seen, but they do have interest in that player as well. So those are some of the options, the alternatives they are looking at in Dani Olmo and Morgan Gibbs-White for plausible replacements for Kevin De Bruyne. Of course, the primary target is Florian Wirtz, but at the moment, they have pulled out of that deal because it is deemed too expensive for them to be able to afford. As things stand, that 300 million euros is what is being quoted according to BBC Sport, and that was further confirmed by Fabrizio Romano in respect to Manchester City pulling out. So so that's the news for you, Anis, in regards to Florian Wirtz. Hey, Safa Ali. Safa, yes, I had a question for you. Whether at Fenerbahce you have some African players in your squad. Are there some African players that you think may be leaving later on in December to can represent their countries? In the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, because when December comes this year, some players will be leaving their European clubs to can represent their countries in the Africa Cup of Nations that will be hosted in Morocco. So for clubs playing in let's say in Portugal, it will be a very short trip to cross. For players playing in Spain, it will be a short trip. So you say you have Nesiri, Nesiri, is that the former Sevilla striker? Nesiri, is that the one? The former Sevilla striker that was playing with alongside Luis Ocampos at Sevilla. Then you do have Sofian Amrabat, who was last season at Manchester United on loan, and then I think he was on loan from Fiorentina. Then you talk about Saint Maximin. Oh, you have Saint Maximin at Fenerbahce. I thought he had moved to the Saudi Pro League in Morocco. Yeah, those Moroccan internationals. Yes. So I think your manager or your team should be preparing themselves to lose those players for the tournament. That is because Morocco are the hosts. So, and they'll look to get maybe home a little bit early, as opposed to floating into the camp in the very last minute. So prepare yourself to lose some players to AFCON when the time comes. In as far as that competition is concerned later on in December. We're into the 96th minute of the game, and Brighton still lead Liverpool by 3 goals to 2. So looks like we are going to get our prediction wrong, because our prediction had been a 2-all draw. And when Kaoru Mitoma scored, we thought we had achieved that. But yeah, it looks like Brighton had other ideas through Henshwood. Henshwood was the goal scorer for the third goal. Yeah. So, nice. Where's nice goal? 977. Where has he gone? And yeah. Just a second, guys. So I hope that answers and Mrs. concerns over Florian Wirtz in regards to Manchester City, but also thank you, Safa Ali, for responding in kind in regards to the African players that are currently at Fenerbahce that will be, leaving. Then, according to Fabrizio Romano, Angel Gomez has confirmed his decision to leave Lille as a free agent this summer. Several clubs are interested. Contacts to sign Gomez on free deal. That's Olympique Marseille, one of them leading in that race. Then the Juventus director Giattoli, I was speaking about Igor Tudor's future at the club. Remember when Juventus sacked Thiago Motta, they replaced him with Igor Tudor as their manager. So he was speaking in reference to his future, and he said, let me say he's had a great impact. He's doing very well. Tudor will stay with us for FIFA Club World Cup, and then we will see. So looks like Igor Tudor will be guiding Juventus into the FIFA Club World Cup, and then they'll possibly make a decision after the tournament, perhaps depending on how they fare there. Then the other key news is Ricardo Kaka, his ex-son Leite Kaka, could be joining Carlo Ancelotti on the Brazilian national team technical bench, because here is what he had to say when asked about a potential return or opportunity to return to the Selecao, that's the Brazilian national team. He said, if the opportunity arises, I'm ready to return to the Selecao. I'm prepared. Since 2017, I wanted to prepare myself. I took business courses in sports at Harvard. I took the coach course at CBF. I have experience in national team World Cup. He told TV. That's in as far as Kaka is concerned. But that game between Liverpool and Brighton and Hove Albion has finished by 3-2 in favor of the home side. That's Brighton. Harvey Elliott and Dominic Szoboszlai did score for Liverpool. Harvey Elliott managing an assist and a goal in that one, while Yassine Ayari as well as Kaoru Mitoma and Henshwood were on the score sheet for the home side. That's in Brighton, and that result takes them from 9th place to 8th place on the Premier League table. They've leapfrogged Brentford and Hove Albion ahead of their final game of the season. So let's wait and see how that transpires, how they will be able to conclude the season in as far as the Premier League is concerned. So then we did speak about Matthias Cunha to United, and earlier on in the day, I told you that Manchester United were really close to completing the deal for Matthias Cunha, because even commenting on it was Fabrizio Romano saying Manchester United are now closing in on Matthias Cunha deal. The Brazilian has accepted the project as agreement on personal terms is now being finalized, almost done. Final details are to sort between all parties involved, and then here we go. And you all know, once we hear those words from Fabrizio Romano, then a deal is really close and really, really close. So let's wait and see. And then there was also then the FIFA the Ballon d'Or ceremony will take place on the 22nd of September in Paris. I remember the contenders for the FIFA Ballon d'Or or the Ballon d'Or. Ousmane Dembele is one of the contenders. Rafinha, Lamine Yamal are some of the contenders in that. I do not know whether we'll get an Inter Milan player really close. That will depend on if they are able to win the UEFA Champions League or not. Then Como, that's the Italian Serie A club who are under the charges of Cesc Fabregas. According to Fabrizio Romano, Como see Cesc Fabregas as fully involved in their long-term project and also crucial in transfer decision. Fabregas is key also for the first big signing planned by Como for this summer. That is Jeremy. Italian club plans to trigger the release clause in excess of 30 million euros. Como have an ambition to qualify for the UEFA Champions League for European places next season, and they do want into